Hey everyone, welcome to the Vienna Whyte Roundtable Season 1, Episode 15. I'm your host, Millie Rouge from the band Vienna Whyte. This roundtable is brought to you by Yank Music, and today we have three incredible guests from all over the world, which I'm very excited to be talking to today. Let's start off with Lisa. Do you want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Beautiful. And how about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm an artist, singer, songwriter, producer. I do whatever pays the bills in whatever given month. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, but currently I am coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, where I live full time.
Awesome. And Tdmoney.
Yeah, I'm from Egypt, Texas. It's my shirt. Ease up all day. I'm an artist. I'm a rapper, and that's pretty much what I mostly just do. I just like to handle just my music and go about my day.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just first individually talk to each of you kind of about your music careers, so we can have our audience know a little bit more about you guys. And then our last part of the day, we'll go through everyone separately. And then our last part of the chat we'll have a topic of the day. So I won't tell you what the topic is yet, but I'll bring up a topic. It obviously has to do about music. And I'll kind of want to just get your guys' opinions and feedback on this topic. So just to start it off, let's start off with Caves. Actually, I have you up first here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your musical journey so far and how you've gotten from Toronto to Nashville in the past little while?
Yeah, I mean, I'll save you. I've been doing music and playing shows since I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 32 now. And, it kind of, starting at 16 and then being 18, then I started tour managing at 18. And kind of my life for the past 14 years has been on the road, 150 dates a year for 12, 14 years almost. And it's taken on different things. I've worked at churches full time and been on staff as a worship leader and then toured on the side. And, I started this project Caves because I kind of felt I got known as the guy who just only sings church songs. And I wanted to just take it in some different directions that kind of were out of the box and just tell some stories through it. And so it was a fear of people not accepting a new style, or I don't know, but actually it's really funny. The name Caves came up. I took a year off of music. And this is all part of my journey too. I had a complete breakdown, a burnout. We'd done a bus tour, 2 buses across Canada, and then put out a live TV spec. We were just doing way too much stuff for me at 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I completely burnt out to the point I just didn't care about anything anymore. I wanted to fire people. I wanted to I was going nuts, and realized there's a lot of depression and anxiety that was playing into that. So I took a year off to get healthy, and I wrote songs out of this dark, hidden place that I kind of referred to as the Caves.
Cool. Yeah,
and I had the chance to play my first show after a year, and I got a call on Thursday night. He's from this guy I know who was part of events. He goes, "Hey, are you around tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you have Leaf tickets, I'm around. If you need help moving, no." But
That's awesome.
he's like, "We need an opener for this show." And I said, "Well, okay, sure, I'm in. You realize I haven't played in a year, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to be up all night with my guitar player hashing live versions out of these songs." But he's like, "No, the songs you showed me at lunch the other day, play those. Those are great." I go, "Okay, well, where's the show?" And he's like, "It's at the Air Canada Center." And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" He's like, "No. 16,000 people are going to be there.
Wow.
You got an 18-minute set." And I go, "All right." And so literally 10 minutes before we went on stage, my buddy's like, "What's our band? Who are we? Are we just Josh McCabe? What are we going as?" I'm like, and he's like, "Caves. We're Caves. We're just going to call it that. You were going to call this record Caves. We're now Caves." I'm like, "Okay, so let's do it." And that's kind of how that whole journey started. And since I've been doing that for about 5 years now, we just came out with our second EP 2 weeks ago, or our second our we have a full length out and a couple EPs, but we put a new
Right.
EP that's part of a full length that's going to be coming out later in the year. So
Cool. That is
it's
a really cool story. I love that
it's a
backstory.
whirlwind. And I
That's
always say
amazing.
this. I always say this: if you leave it as I'm telling the story, oh, you got to play at the Air Canada, like no,
Yeah.
I tell that story because be open to every phone call and every
Mhm.
opportunity.
Mhm.
You never know who's on the other line. You never know who you're having lunch with. Like, treat people well, invest in their lives, um, be vulnerable with them, because there will be a day where that guy's sitting there going, I need an opener.
Yeah.
And wow, this guy Josh was so vulnerable with me last week when we had lunch about these songs, and I want
Mhm.
to help him. I want to
Totally.
like help launch this thing. So it's a good lesson out there for new artists who are
Yeah,
think some people aren't worth their time.
absolutely. That's a really good piece of advice that I think a lot of new artists still kind of struggle with, and it takes a while for them to kind of realize that for sure.
Yeah.
How was the shift moving from Toronto to Nashville? What was kind of the reason behind that of why you wanted to move?
Yeah, I mean, I started feeling like when you go from being a local guy working a job and playing shows on weekends to touring full time, being gone 2-3 weeks, and even when you're like touring as a solo, I do a lot of stuff solo, and I'll hire guitar players. Like if I'm doing
Mhm.
a run in California, I know a guy in LA that I'll hire for that, so I don't have to fly a guy across the country.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it comes to these things where it's like, oh, I have 3 shows here in LA, and then in 4 days I have a show in Phoenix and then Texas. It's like, I'm not going to go all the way back to Canada. Like, it makes no sense just to turn around, fly back.
Yeah.
And you realize that you're gone 10, 12 days. And people who work 9 to 5s kind of just stop inviting you out. Like, not because they don't like you, but they just assume you're away.
Yeah. It's a different
And
lifestyle.
yeah, and moving here, what I noticed that everyone's in that boat of like touring all the time, so everyone's
Mhm.
so much more intentional.
Mm.
So it's like the 2 days you're home, people make plans and stick with them because they know what loneliness feels like when you're on the road.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I think I thought I was moving down here to sign a record deal. Like literally, it was like had 3 things going, and then I move here, and then they all disappear. They all ghost.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I literally thought I was about ready to sign a deal and go on this tour. And what I've realized about moving to Nashville, the difference has been that I've learned to glean like and just be a sponge with people who have gone before me
Yeah.
and try to soak up every opportunity.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really
Yeah.
interesting to hear from a Canadian perspective to moving to Nashville and just someone who's been doing this for such a long time. That's really awesome to hear. Tdmoney, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about your musical journey. Can you tell us just kind of a brief description, kind of like Josh did here, of your musical journey and how you kind of got from point A to point B of where you are now?
It kind of all just started, because I'm like 24. Well, I just turned 24 like April 5th.
Nice.
But it kind of just started just from just from being in high school and just starting to do music from then. Because I grew up kind of just by myself because I'm from the country, and
Okay.
then my grandma was like my grandma raised me, so she was like real overprotective of me. So I didn't get to do too much of stuff, so I was in the house a lot. And so in turn, I turned that into making, just making music like every day of my life. At
Yeah.
Mm.
least during that time period, like that's literally what I did, like day in and day out. I was
Mhm.
working on songs. I was trash too, man. I was so bad. I was so bad. But you know, good thing hard work pays off. And
Totally.
I progressed much better from there. And so, just from there, once I graduated, I was just trying to think of any way just for me to be around, the music industry as quick as
Mhm.
possible. And my main thought to get that to happen was just to go to college. And so I came to Texas Southern University in Houston,
Hmm.
I completed I completed 3 years there total. I took a break last year, but I got like 2 more semesters and I'll be done. But pretty much it was just to like be around as many people as possible, because like the town I'm from has a population of less than 50 people. Just like, and then the next biggest town over is like 10,000 people. So
That's
I mean,
crazy.
yeah. So like, I was trying to just get around anything. I just wanted to be, in a city environment and just be around, people that I, just be around the opportunity. Pretty much, I wanted to be around opportunity. And so, the moment I came to campus, like the first day, I was just looking for ways to try to just network with people and find just anywhere I can get my foot in the door, anywhere I can, start building my name, within the city. And that's pretty much what I was doing, from the ground up, just whether that was being on Instagram or Twitter, searching hashtags, looking for shows,
Right.
Trying to just collaborate with different artists, looking for different producers. It's not only with the people on my campus, but just just the whole city of Houston overall, just to try to build my name and build my buzz as much as possible. And then I just been coming, from doing that to where I'm at now, and that was just pretty much like I finally, solidified me a team of producers that that are willing to work with me, and that I can do projects and stuff with. And I actually have a few projects coming out this year if COVID don't get me first, but so I'm hoping to plan on those. And I just pretty much I was trying to just build a team, within because I've been out here since 2014, so it ain't been that long. So I've just been trying to, within that time span, just build a team and learn as much as I can, learn the industry, see the people, see as many people that I feel like that I can bring value to, and vice versa, and so I can just create more opportunities for myself.
Absolutely. That's really, really awesome to hear. So you're currently in Houston, is that correct? Right now you're in Houston?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in Houston right now.
I have never heard of Egypt, Texas before, so I had to actually Google it.
Nobody has.
I've never heard of it.
Nobody has. Nobody. It's literally like we ain't got no stores, no nothing. All we got is a post office.
That's crazy. That's
I did a lot of hunting, fishing growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a question for you about rap in general, because that is kind of your main genre. I'm curious to know what style of rap you prefer and why. Are you more into the rap that has a lot of storytelling like Biggie does and Tupac, or do you like artists that have more of that laid back kind of free flow style, like artists like I would compare them to like maybe Drake or like the Migos? Kind of what's your preferred style of rap genre and why?
I don't think I have a preferred style. I just know, I just like good music overall, so I mean, most of the time, I do enjoy storytelling music, and I enjoy both of the things that you just named, because, both of those kind of go hand in hand with me, because they create balance within the rap world.
Right.
But I mean, I don't necessarily prefer one or the other, but I definitely, just like both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of all dip your toes into everything, which is actually really good to have when you're an artist, for sure.
Yeah, I just like to be well versed, and just try to just soak up as much as I can. And so I kind of take from, from all those different, styles and stuff. So, just to kind of build myself into, the perfect rapper for me.
Yeah, your own kind of sound. Absolutely. That kind of ties into my next question. What musical artists have had the biggest influence in your music, would you say? Like which artists specifically?
For sure, Kanye's for sure. And then this another artist, one of my friends, 94, he was a big inspiration on me, even still to this day, just always just, showing me different ways that, that this rap stuff can be done. And for sure, so them two artists for sure, Kanye and my homie 94.
I love that. I love that you're like locally supporting someone else. That's really awesome to hear, rather than, big name is cool to have too, but it's awesome that it's local. That's really amazing.
Yeah. Cause I mean, he had like a major impact on me, just from like a teenager, till now. So, especially just like with life views and opinions and stuff like that, and different musical opinions, and just showing me different, the different side of things pretty much.
That's amazing. It's a little like a mentor almost to have. That's really
amazing. And we like the same age.
Oh, that's even better. Perfect. You can relate even more. All right. Now, thank you so much for sharing, Tdmoney. That was so awesome to hear. Lisa, I've met you a few times, but I don't know a whole lot about your musical journey, actually. So I'm very curious to hear kind of where you got from point A to point B, where you are now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's, I sort of started when I was younger, as a teenager, doing classical singing, and then I started songwriting just as a way of expressing myself, and then I went to university in Edmonton and studied French and Spanish literature,
Awesome.
and decided to move to Spain after graduating. And so I was teaching French in an elementary school. Well, I was a sort of language assistant in an elementary school in Spain, and some of my coworkers found out I sang. And so one day we just sat around the piano and I plunked out a little song, and then they were so enthusiastic. Oh, you have to play a concert. You have to play a concert. So it was kind of funny. I had done shows in Canada, but it had always been just something like a hobby and just something I did for fun. And so, yeah, it was really in Spain where this group of friends from this school that I was working at really like pushed me into it. One of them, their partner was a graphic designer. He made me my first website, and they literally took me around to this university town and pushed me into bars and said like, okay, talk to this person, say this. And so, yeah, it was a really interesting experience. So I started playing quite a bit in Spain, moved back to Canada in 2015. 2015, and just have sort of done some touring, both with a band and solo mostly around Canada. And then I did a tour in Spain and Ireland 2 years ago as well. And yeah, it's been fun. I've always kind of juggled the teaching and the performing, and I think they actually are quite similar.
Totally.
There's our performers as well. Yeah, and then now I also have 2 groups here in Calgary, as well as my solo project. One with 2 of my friends, where we do lots of 3-part harmonies and different types of different genres of music, and then one with my partner. Yeah,
very cool. Awesome. I'm curious to know, because you've played a lot of shows. Even when I was going through your Instagram, you've played a lot of shows in Alberta and Canada in general. What has been your favorite live performance that you've played to this day? What would you say has been your favorite?
Well, I guess the one that sort of sticks out in my mind the most right now is actually one I just played on March 6th, which was right before, everything with COVID hit here. And that was like the debut show with my band, with my partner Honey Deer. And it was at the King Eddie, which is kind of a special place here in Calgary. It was this blues venue that my parents grew up going to, and it got quite run down, and they've refurnished or refurbished it, and so it was really cool to play there. It was like this beautiful venue, and it just sort of was one of those magical nights where everything seemed to go right. Like, when you invite people to a show and you kind of know like maybe half will come, and like literally everyone I invited was there, and I was like, what is happening? And it was like we had those moments in the show where you could hear a pin drop, and it was kind of just a magical night. Like I can't expect that every show, but it was just we worked really hard preparing for it too. We had like a choreographed dance at the end. So so it was, and you know what, we went into it just as like, we're just gonna have fun and we're gonna do this because we love it. And if we make no money and if nobody's there, we're still gonna have a good time. And so that would probably be my favorite up to this point.
Absolutely. Really cool. Now I actually have a question about a live performance that I've seen of yours. I think I've seen you twice live now, but this was a few years ago, to be fair. But the last time I saw you in your stage performance, you actually had one of your musical props that was cat litter. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you explain kind of how that came to be into your live stage setup? I'm very curious to know how that came to be.
Yeah, I see some other curious onlookers.
Oh yeah, I'm here for this story right now. I need to find out what's going on here.
So I do some live looping with Ableton and a looper pedal, and I was looking for a good like bass drum sound, and I had been making the sound with my mouth, but I'm not by any means an expert beatboxer, so I yeah, I was just sort of going around the house experimenting with different things. And then the kitty litter box is sort of the perfect bass drum for this because it has the little hole on the top and then you can just hit it on the side. And so you put the mic right up to that little hole and you just get this awesome, like boomy, bassy sound. So yeah, that was how that came to be.
I think that's really cool, honestly, because I mean, I feel like with live artists, you typically see a very common setup, but I think if you've got something very unique like that, it really sets you apart. Because obviously, I still remember you doing that, so obviously that set a very good impression on me that I still remember it to this day. Thank you for sharing. I really love that.
Of course.
All right, so thank you everyone for sharing kind of your musical journeys. That was really awesome to hear different sides of everyone's kind of upbringing to music. Now, the topic of the day that I wanted to discuss was learning the business side to music. And I'm really glad that I actually have this topic because I feel like everyone that's talked so far has kind of touched about this in general. So my very first question I have, and anyone can really answer this to start, or I'll just pick someone to start off. But I'm curious to know, when you first started music, did you have any clue about the business side of music? What was kind of your experience when you very, very first started out? And by business side, I'm talking about promotion, advertising, insights to your audience, things like that. So I'm curious to know, what was your first kind of initial experience with business? Whoever wants to start. Josh, if you want to start, anyone can go ahead first.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
You go for it, man. You go.
Actually, that's what I went to school for. My major was ERM, Entertainment and Recording Industry Management, and one of my professors was actually Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father. So
That's awesome. Oh, I lost you for a second.
Oh, we lost you.
So that was definitely. Oh, snap!
Sorry.
I think my headphone went out.
That's okay. You can start from the beginning.
my bad.
That's
But
okay.
but yeah, I was trying to just learn the business side as much as I could, mostly, and just, try to intake as much as I could, because I feel like as an artist, I'm gonna get the music part covered. That's the easiest part of it. So I feel like, the hardest part of it is trying to get the business part covered. So I was literally trying to just learn as much as I could. Like, even to this day, like, if the business is ever changing, so every day I update myself. I take in some knowledge on the business, whether it be watching interviews. Like, I watch so many interviews, I should be a TV by now. But it's pretty insane. Just to kind of stay on top of everything, because like, even because like some of the classes I was taking was like artist management, and so they would tell us, the things that we need to look for as when you're managing artists and stuff. Not because I'm trying to be artist manager, but that was just the class for artist management and all of that. So I was really trying to just learn as much of the business as possible.
Absolutely. That's really cool. And Lisa, what's kind of your experience with the music side of the business?
The business side of the music? Or
yeah, I said that reverse, but I think you know what I mean. What's your kind of experience with the business side to music is what I meant to say.
Oh, is she frozen?
Oh,
did we lose her? There we go. We got you.
I'm still here. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't know
no,
what
that's
happened.
okay.
Oh, my internet. Okay. Just keep going.
So do you want like the business side of things?
Yeah. And kind of where you started at the very beginning of your artist career.
Oh, I was so clueless. I honestly still feel like I'm pretty bad at the business side of things. But yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of blogs and I have books as well. And I think for me, just for like my own goals, my biggest focus has just been on like connecting with the audience and with fans and doing my best to do promotion. But yeah, I think I'm probably like the worst person to talk about that part with. I feel like these two probably know a lot more. But yeah, I've been very clueless and very like sort of typical, like, oh, I'll just play music.
Yeah.
And
well,
which is of course the worst, but
yeah. Well, I think for a lot of artists that's very, very common. I think it's very rare that you meet an artist that actually has a lot of business side to them. So I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it. And it actually is interesting to hear from both sides of an artist who feels like they maybe don't have that full business aspect to them, and then to an artist who does. So Josh, I'm curious to know kind of, because you've had a lot of experience clearly in the music industry, what your kind of, where you kind of started and with the music side of business? How did you kind of get that business aspect to your music?
Yeah, I mean, like the business aspect is so important for me. Like I'm married with 2 kids, and so like it's I mean it's live or die for me. Like
Right.
my wife's a stay-at-home mom because, if I'm on tour for 10 days, like, can you imagine her trying to get both kids off to school and then like be at her desk at a job at 9 a.m. and then like all by herself for 10 days? Like, I don't know how single moms do it. Like, I have
Yeah.
so much respect for single moms out there, but like, to us, it just didn't make sense. And so I think touring at an early age, like doing merch, TM, and then just being like a hired drummer on these like bigger tours. Cause like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, at 20 years old, yeah, I could like grind out my own thing, or I could play in like theaters, like to 1,500 people a night and play drums. And all I got to do is sit the drums for 30 minutes. And like, I got to watch a lot of artists do things the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to watch a lot of artists do things the right way. And I also built lifelong relationships that I could just call like a buddy and go, hey man, like how did that thing work? Or what do you think I should do about this? Or even just, you just listen. And I mean, the biggest thing that I think is just an advice thing that I've seen artists do so wrong is that they get on tours or play with other artists and see how they do it. And then they just do that exact thing. And I'm going, dude, your band can't afford to have 2 crew members. You can't afford to be staying in hotels. Like, you need to be doing houses, or like, bro, you might have to like source a drum kit locally because that trailer is killing your van.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that you have to be reasonable about where you're at and sacrifice, like every dollar you bring home is another dollar you can invest back into doing music, or another dollar that goes towards paying your life bill so that you can not be working 10 other jobs and focusing on music.
Yeah.
So it's about investing your time and money and resource well, and focus on the things that you actually need, not the things that you just want to have.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really good actually piece of advice. My next question actually kind of ties into exactly what Josh was just saying. But Lisa, I wanted to start with you because you were kind of saying, oh, I feel like I'm a beginner and kind of I'm still learning about this. So Lisa, what kind of tips would you give maybe to musicians that's just starting out, just barely starting out? And what kind of tips would you give just to give them like a pre-warning of like any kind of business tips that you've learned along the way with music?
I think things that have been really helpful for me is just talking to more established artists and sort of really like, and sort of what Josh was saying with like kind of breaking it down to what your costs are and how you like, if you're looking to make money from this, like what are the best revenue sources and like where, if you're going on tour, like I know I've done so many tours where I'm just like sleeping on people's couches and stuff, and like that is my reality. And I mean, but people do, I think also like what are you kind of building out a little roadmap of like where you want to get, and like mini goals, because I think a lot of the time when you're starting, it seems like your big goals seem so far away and so unreachable. So if you have like a bunch of mini goals, then you at least feel like you're making progress, and you can at least, acknowledge those small victories, rather than just being like, oh, I'm still in the same place I was like a year ago or whatever. So I'd say like talk to people, talk to as many people as you can about it, and do your research, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually some really good advice. I think people kind of take for granted the fact that most human beings will talk back to you. If you ask them very simple questions about their music career, they'd be happy to talk about it because most of them know the struggle of getting to that point. So like if someone were to ask myself, I'd be like, absolutely, here's the things that I started with. Here's what I think would work for you. Test them out. Let me know. I'd love to provide like feedback, right? So I think that's super important. Tdmoney, I'm curious to know, just from what you've learned through university and just through life, could you maybe give some tips for musicians that are just starting out and what maybe they should focus on when they're at their beginning stage of their career for business wise for music?
Kind of a little bit to what Josh said earlier. Just what did he say? Oh man, I forgot that fast. Oh yeah, just you know, just with like trying to talk to everybody. You know, watching people do stuff the right way and watching people do stuff the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to be, you know, very observant. You want to watch as much as possible. You want to take in as much as possible because at the end of the day, you know, you need to learn. You need to be a student of the game. You know, and because I look at it like anybody that's ever been successful, they were a student of the game.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that's ever, you know, attained, you know, that major goal that most people want to, you know, get to like that major status, they were a student of the game. You know, they kept themselves, you know, savvy. They kept themselves, you know, ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And I would say most importantly do that for sure. And kind of to what Lisa said as well, you know, you want to chip at it, you know, little by little. You're not gonna just wake up and just be, you know, Drake.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, like you got yeah, like you got to for sure chip at it. Everything's a process. And I feel like a lot of artists you know, that I feel like a lot of them don't understand that it's a process and it's definitely a sacrifice. You know, you want to go through it, like you have to go through it, you know. And I feel like a lot of people are, you know, they try to avoid that part. And and I feel like as soon as you, as an artist, you wrap your head around, okay, this is going to be a process, this is going to be a sacrifice. The farther you'll get because you're already accepting everything that comes with it. You're accepting all the wins, all the losses. And that's really what it takes. You got to be able to be a ball. You got to have everything roll off you and just keep going. And
Absolutely.
I would say, you know, that's probably the most important thing.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, that's actually all the time we have for today. My timer's ticking down. So before we head out, can you all just quickly go around and just say what your name is and where people can find you?
So I'm Lisa Anderson. You can find me at lisaandersonmusic.com.
Yeah, I'm Josh McCabe, Caves Music. Find me at Caves Music on Instagram or wearecaves.com.
You can find me on Instagram at Tdmoney, of course, capital T, one word, and on Twitter at Tdmoney, and that's all together as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in today. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.